Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. It's just such a precious time, it's such a beautiful bliss that I'm feeling. And I'm sure you're feeling it too. What we're feeling right now is probably the closest we're gonna get to feeling like Charlie Sheen when he was describing that beautiful feeling of winning. We are winning, and I mean winning like I've never seen before. Usually, there's a whole lot of pushback, and it's hard to convince people. It feels like we're in this ideological limbo where the left is crafting all this theater, all this production, creating all these stories and narratives, and then you got us on the other side, waving our hands, alarm bells ringing, saying, no, hey, that's fake news, look over here, pay attention to this information, and you always got those people in the middle who kind of don't know where to go, Or you got people who are so bought into the social infrastructure, they just don't want to believe that everything they're being told is a lie. They want to have a sort of blind faith in the establishment. And so over the years, a lot of the things that we have been saying to the general public has been met with a lot of skepticism. I mean, let's take January 6th, for instance. At first, we were crazy to suggest even anything. But now, things are changing so quickly and we are winning so bigly that it just feels like the people who are on the fence, the people who are pretending to be the logical moderates, well, they've now submitted. Total ideological submission. They're admitting we were right. Okay, so here we go. Just like I said, even now, some of the most prominent of leftists are pretty much conceding.
The news comes amidst a bombshell report from the Justice Department that revealed the FBI had at least 26 confidential informants on the ground when the Capitol was stormed on January 6, 2021. The report says most of the informants engaged in illegal activity during the chaos. The Justice Department says only 3 of its 26 informants present had been instructed to observe potential domestic terrorist suspects on the day of the riot. The rest of the 23 appeared to have gone to the Capitol on their own accord. Upon hearing news of the report, Vice President-elect J.D. Vance posted the following on X, quote, "For those keeping score at home, this was labeled a dangerous conspiracy theory months ago," end quote. Didn't hear anything about that for the election. Didn't hear anything about that when the quote-unquote insurrection was broached by Vice President Kamala Harris as the Democratic nominee. The belief that Donald Trump was a danger to democracy and using this as a profound, illuminating bullet point to make that case. And now here we are yet again finding even more evidence to Donald Trump's claims when he articulated that the process is rigged. My big issue is that I'm really, really sick and tired of every time I turn around finding something else that the Democrats have lied about or downplayed or misrepresented along the way. I see Republicans like Megyn Kelly or Officer Tatum or Candace Owens or, the Sean Hannitys of the world. You know what I'm getting tired of? I'm getting to the Democratic Party. You know what I'm getting really pissed off about? I'm getting really ticked off at every time they open their mouth about something pertaining to y'all, they seem right to make the case that the right had a monopoly on insidious, evil tendencies, corrupt tendencies, duplicitous, hypocritical, untruthful tendencies. And every time they made those accusations, we turn around and find out that at least some of them are guilty of the same shit. I don't know about y'all, but I'm sick of all of it. I'm sick of all of it. They've actually made Donald Trump look like he was right instead of them.
It feels like so many of these prominent leftists are almost waving the white flag. They're submitting to the truth. And the truth is that the January 6th narrative that was crafted by Nancy Pelosi and her minions, well, it was a twisted, one-sided narrative. A black and white story that was being force-fed to the public. What we saw wasn't just a MAGA mob storming the Capitol with Donald Trump leading the cavalry, having overtaken the beast from Secret Service as he rides it up the Capitol footsteps. No, this thing had layers to it. Layers that the left left and the leftist media playing along have been desperately trying to cover up. You know, for years we've been saying, hold up, something doesn't add up here. Why were Capitol Police waving people inside the building? Why were there individuals caught on camera inciting chaos but somehow never arrested? And why does it feel like every narrative that the left pushes seems to crumble the second you scratch the surface? But this entire time people have called us crazy. And now this FBI report essentially tells us that most of what we were saying was true. There were agents in the crowd, meaning they were on the ground and they knew what was happening. They had all the intelligence ahead of the fact, and the entire time as things were hyping up, they were on the ground with direct intelligence and real-time intelligence, most likely suggesting that, something was going to happen, and yet this entire time, the National Guard was never deployed. The doors weren't locked. In fact, the opposite. People were led into the building. And for so long, they've called us crazy, deranged conspiracy theorists, but now here we have big, prominent voices on their side, essentially saying that we were right, that Trump was right. And actually, the way that Stephen A. Smith said that we were right, I thought was quite interesting.
Yeah, I got a call pretty much out of the blue from the January 6th committee. They wanted a storyteller. And while they were brilliant lawyers, storytelling for a mass audience is not what they do.
To bring in a guy like this who would think outside the box really did prove to be fruitful. And it was Goldston who really began to envision this as, in a way, a kind of mini-series, that there would be, sort of 9 episodes, and that these episodes would tackle particular themes.
Attack on the Capitol, the investigation.
The first hearing was primetime television.
As the nation is about to witness a defining moment, the first hearing before the country, the results of the January 6th investigation.
This is an extraordinary moment in American history.
When it came to that first hearing, we knew how high the stakes were.
Is about to hold its first primetime hearing.
We were either gonna, make people realize that this was important, or once you've lost them, you've lost them for good.
On the evening of June 9th, 8:01 p.m., the doors opened. My heart was beating pretty fast on June 9th, and it was a real question of, is this gonna work or not?
All right, everybody, here we go. 5 on the line, please.
I'm in this tiny control room right up the stairs from Cannon Caucus. And we count down to the start of the hearing. And at that point, what can you do?
Here we go. In 3, 2, 1.
The Select Committee to investigate the January 6th attack on the United States Capitol will be in order. Without objection.
We wanted to make sure that this was a presentation that would grab the audience and hold on to them. Chairman Thompson loved to say, it's got to pop.
I'm paraphrasing, but he essentially said something to the effect that we're always right about them, about the leftists, about the media, about the liars. And that's exactly it. He hit the nail on the head, You got these people on the left who are looking at themselves and they're saying, who am I partnering with? And why is the opposition, the person that I'm supposedly ideologically against, why are they always right about my party and the people on my side? It seems like the dishonesty, all the political games are coming right back like a boomerang, headed straight back to the duplicitous left. Because let's be honest, this is what the left does. They manufacture chaos and then point the finger. They control and fabricate narratives and then label the other side as extremists or as, whatever label you could imagine, and then use it to justify their power grabs. It's the same playbook that they've used for years. And January 6th was supposed to be their crown jewel. For them, it was the moment that Donald Trump had ruined his career and they were going to seize political power once again. But unfortunately for them, it feels like they've milked it for all that it's worth, and now they're getting exposed. The rug's been pulled back and the dirt is starting to pile up. Stephen A. Smith isn't alone. Sure, that Stephen A. Smith video is dandy and all, but it's much bigger than Stephen A. Smith because he's not alone. People on the left are starting to realize that they've been lied to and manipulated. They've been used. They're starting to realize that their side has attacked, vilified, and painted Donald Trump and his supporters as enemies of the state, domestic terrorists, yada, 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 plagued by scandal. They've done this, that, and the other, but most of it has been fabricated, and they've done it all while sweeping their own shady tactics under the rug and now it feels like they're totally caught red-handed. And now with hindsight 2020, I think for a lot of people, they're realizing that it was all a show. That's what hindsight does when you play flashback clips like this from Frontline.
Oh, look what we have here!
I mean, it feels like a dramatic performance with the cameras and all. I mean, again, Nancy Pelosi brought a film crew the day of. But anyways, people are waking up, important people are waking up. The left is completely losing control. Their crown jewel narrative has completely crumbled. It feels like they don't really have much left, other than Trump is literally Hitler and ma abortion. The J6 narrative is bust, and J6 defendants are most likely about to get bust out of jail by Donald Trump's pardons coming in. In other words, the world is healing, and I guess this is what it feels like to be winning. It's almost a feeling we've become unfamiliar with, but I gotta tell you, I could get used to it. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.